Unsolved.
My top 10 Zodiac suspects, going from the least likely to the most likely. Arthur Dean Farron. Doesn't he look like the Zodiac sketch? Here's a side-by-side look. So who is Dean Farron? Well, Darlene was married to Arthur Dean Farron. And here's a photograph of him in high school. This was Darlene's husband. And Dean Farron was Arthur's father. And he served in the Air Force. And he was from Eureka, California. And at the time of her death, he lived at 1210 Ohio Street, right here. And if you look at this map, how close it is to the phone call, and the street is a dead end, so you can't go east to the phone booth from there. You have to go down to Springs Road and then head east to get to the phone. Robert Ivan Nichols. He took the name of a deceased young boy, and then he moved to California in 1965. And there's more that you can learn about him on the internet. Michael Lee Zelek, and he's from Pacific High School in San Bernardino, and he called himself the Zodiac, and he wrote the cryptic ciphers on the chalkboard in his classroom before the Zodiac used "This is the Zodiac speaking." So it's hard not to include him. William C. Holtz. He was in the Air Force for 25 years. So how did I come by him? Well, his daughter, on the anniversary of Sherry Jo Bates's murder, wrote the Press Enterprise saying that she thought Michael Z was the murderer of Sherry Jo Bates. But this was obviously not true. And so I think there's a connection between her, Michael, and someone she knows that could possibly be the Zodiac Killer. This supposedly is the envelope that she mailed to the Press Enterprise, and then this is her mother. Richard Joseph Gakowski. He's known in many circles as a possible Zodiac Killer. And here's a postcard that he mailed his friend in 1966. And I've put his friend's name and address there for you. Richard Marshall, the San Francisco theater operator, and whose true real name is Joe Don Dickey, and he was born in Texas. And his character, or a caricature of him, is in the movie Zodiac. Ross Sullivan. He was at RCC when Sherry Jo Bates was murdered. I believe he was working in the library, and he shortly left RCC and he moved to Northern California, and he ended up settling in Santa Cruz, California, which is not in the Bay Area. However, I'm not sure where his whereabouts were in 1968 and 1969, but his brother lived in the Berkeley area in the San Francisco Bay Area. Gary Francis Post, who moved up to the Sierra Mountains sometime in the mid-1970s and started a paint business, Pine Mountain Painting, with Rodney Hamlin. He draws my interest because the case breakers state that he was in Riverside at March Air Force Base in 1965 or 1966. And I found this article about him prior to the Zodiac killings. Paul Alfred Duer. He moved to California in around 1960 or a few years afterwards, with his wife later joining him, Rose, and their daughter Gloria. And he liked to dress up, he liked guns, he was a violent man, he lived near Vallejo, he had been to Lake Berryessa, and he drove a car that was similar to a description given by one of the witnesses at Lake Berryessa. Arthur Lee Allen. Well, he matches the description of the San Francisco police officer, except that I guess the police officer retracted or doesn't agree that it's him. But he said he had a round face, he had a widow's peak, he was barrel-chested, he gave that age range of Arthur Lee Allen. And then you have 3 other witnesses placing him at the scene of different crimes. And the 3 witnesses don't know each other or not common to each other. So it's hard not to include him as the Zodiac Killer. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and I want to clarify that this was not a video to present evidence against these gentlemen. It was just who my 10 suspects are. So I'm not trying to prove anything in this particular video. There was not time to do that. And so I'll see you next weekend. And I will be zeroing in on one of these gentlemen. I have 2 in mind. See ya.